gonna be doing my July wrap-up video, but first of all, are you excited about my eyeliner? Because I am. It's almost even on both sides. I mean, what more can you ask for? And so I'm gonna be filming all of the videos today because I don't think I can recreate that. Yeah. So, in the month of July, I read altogether 14 books, which is a ridiculous amount of books. If you're not as far behind on your Goodreads challenge as I am, then it's still not enough because I think I am still like 8 or 7 books behind now. Oh my god, it's kind of stressing me out, but I'm gonna reach 100 books this year. It's a thing. It's gonna be a thing. July was an awesome reading month, not least because of the Booktubeathon. I read 7 books in that 1 week, so that like really pushed my total reads for this month. Obviously, I wish we could do a readathon like every month, and that would be way too ambitious because after the Booktubeathon I tried doing the underhyped readathon and I completely failed. Like, just wow, that was horrible. Anyway, here are all the books I read this month. So the first book I read this month is Noughts and Crosses by Mallory Blackman. I read this book specifically because of YALC, the Young Adult Literary Convention in London. Yes, I said it correctly. You don't have to clap. It's okay. Seriously, it's okay. I read this book specifically for that convention because Mallory Blackman was the organizer of it, and I thought at least I want to like know what kind of author she is, and the answer is a fantastic one. Oh my god, this book is so great. If you haven't read it before, you definitely should. Basically, the premise of this book is kind of a Romeo-Juliet sort of thing. The world this book is set in is kind of our universe sort of turned around, where white people are inferior and black people are superior. And it's not like our universe nowadays, but like our universe in the unfortunately way too recent past, where like black people really were heavily discriminated against all the time. And so yeah, white people are called noughts and black people are called crosses, and this is essentially at the like very core of it. It's a love story between Callum and Sethi, and Callum is a knot and Sethi is a cross. So society dictates that they cannot be together, and that just is a way to simplified way to describe this book because there's so much more to it. The story is written in just such a gripping and captivating way that you just can't help but like keep reading. You can't put the book down. The ending is absolutely overwhelming. Despite what the cover might promise, the story is not at all just black and white. There's not one really bad guy and one really good guy. It's just a whole mess. It's a messy story, but that's what makes it so real and so relatable because we live in a messy, messy world. And what I appreciated the most about this book, to be quite honest, is that it just shows you how kind of arbitrary it is to group and judge people based on simply the color of their skin, based on simply whether or not they have ancestors that lived in places with a lot of sun or not. And that is just ridiculous. Like, if you think about it, that is absolutely ridiculous in the first place, and kind of turning it around and showing that the problems remain the same and the world itself doesn't really change much just because the black people are now superior and white people are inferior. It just shows how stupid it is to draw those lines between people and to, you know, say one race is better than another, because it simply isn't. Even though I'm a white person, I didn't find myself rooting just for the white people. I found myself being kind of trapped in between, like, I don't really know whose side I'm on right now because both sides are twisted and both sides are wrong in some ways and right in others. And yeah, it's an extraordinary story, and I loved it so much. I loved the sequel, Knife Edge. The third and fourth book in the series are called Checkmate and Double Cross, and I already ordered them, and as soon as I have them, I will probably just devour them in one sitting, and then I'll film a whole review on this entire series because it is so fantastic. It just keeps blowing my mind, and it's just, oh my god, it's so genius. You have to read this, like, for real, you have to. The next book I read is the long-awaited finish to the trilogy of my heart, and it's Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor. This entire series is fantastic. In my opinion, this book was a fantastic ending to the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, and obviously if you haven't read it before, again, get on with that because it's so good. It really, 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 really is good. I think, honestly, that the fewest trilogies managed to keep up the quality throughout all of the books, but this one definitely did. This was a glorious ending, despite some things where I was like, what? How is that a thing now? Like this, there is some confusing stuff happening at the very end. If you've read the book, maybe you know what I'm talking about, but I don't want to spoil it. So there's just some things that in my opinion, didn't quite make sense to me, but maybe that's just me. And the ending was a slight weird thing, but altogether, this book is just glorious. I'm not gonna lie. I cried and I laughed and I thought it was so great. And oh my god. After that tome of a book, I moved on to something that was a little bit smaller, and that was The Thief by Fuminori Nakamura. This book is obviously originally written by a Japanese author, and it's about a thief, and both things are pretty good in my book. The only thing is that this book was very confusing to me. I think the biggest problem with translations from Japanese to English is that they're translations from Japanese to English. This is not the first book I have read that's originally written in Japanese. I read the first one of the 1Q84 trilogy. They're always so janky. I think it's because I don't know enough of the Japanese language at this point to be able to make an even slightly educated guess about this, but I just feel like it's very hard to translate. From the little I know at this point, it's just really, really hard because the sentences are structured completely differently, and I think that there's some expressions that just don't exist in English that they try to translate, like, word for word. And altogether, like, the atmosphere of the book is distorted and changed and doesn't really feel right somehow. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just hypersensitivity to this kind of thing because I've read so much in the last few weeks. But I don't know, it just, something about this bothered me. And then the story itself was kind of strange. Essentially, this is about a thief, a pickpocket in Tokyo, and he meets an old friend who kind of drags him into some more dangerous things and gets him to do a job with him, and then his friend disappears, and then just stuff happens. And throughout this entire thing, I was thinking, like, what is the point of the story? Like, the premise sounds great, but I didn't feel like it had a point. It didn't feel like it was going anywhere, and then when it ended, I was like, okay, so thanks, I guess, for letting me know, but I don't, what? So, probably not recommending this. I don't know. If you've read any good books originally written in Japanese, please let me know, because I want to read them, I really do. They're just so janky that I can't really get my mind wrapped around them. Yeah. The last book I read before the Booktubeathon is Trudy Kenneman's The Magicians Apprentice. I think the last 100 pages or something like that were on Monday of Booktubeathon, so sort of I did read. I mean, no, not really. Really great book. Again, Trudy Kenneman is just fantastic. So this is set in the same universe as the Black Magicians trilogy and To Trade a Spy trilogy, and it's basically a prequel, standalone. Yeah, prequel. I was gonna say that word again. It's basically a prequel standalone to the Black Magicians trilogy. Basically just telling us the history of Sashika and Kiralia, and it's just fantastic. I loved it. I really, really loved it. I think I've read everything in this universe now. It was 7 books, and they're all very long, but what I love about Trudy Kenneman's stories and just books in general is that she takes so much time with the world building, and I think that for a lot of people it might seem like too much because it can come across as a little bit like long-winded and slow-going, and yes it is, but at the same time it's just like, it's, you know, like the difference between having fast food and cramming that into your mouth and having a really great 5-course meal that goes on forever, but you just taste every bite like with a new mindset and with just freshness in your mind. I don't know, I'm bad at metaphors, just don't make me say any more of those. But this book is fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, this entire universe was fantastic and I loved it. I loved it. On to the Booktubeathon. So the first book I read that week was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. First book ever I read by Rainbow Rowell, and I just love that it's signed. I'm just gonna keep showing that to people because it's signed. Like Rainbow touched this very book. I'm never gonna wash my hands again. So this was fantastic, 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 and if you've watched my book haul I did with Helene last week, no, I don't even know when this is going up, but whatever, if you watched that book haul, you know that I didn't know what that poster was for, and now I do, and I'm happy. I'm so happy I have an emergency dance party poster, and also I think this is Simon and, what's his face? Bass! Simon and Bass on my cover, because this is a gorgeous special edition. I have something with word repetitions today. It's like my thing. I read this book in one entire sitting at the airport, and it was fantastic. If you didn't know, this is about a girl who writes fan fiction, and then she moves to college, and her twin sister is kind of trying to lead her own life while she, what's her name? Kath is trying to hold on to basically their like super special relationship where they share everything, and her sister Ren? Names? I suck with names. And her sister Ren is trying to lead her own life and kind of go to parties and be social, while Kath is just sitting at home, still really, really involved in her fan fiction world, and she is writing really, really famous fan fiction. Like in the fan fiction world, it's really, really famous. And then she meets Levi and things happen. Oh. I personally don't really like fan fiction because I can't buy into it. I can't like let my mind believe it, because for some reason it has to come from the author's mind and, I was gonna say pen, but no one writes with pens anymore. It has to come from the author's, you know, imagination, and then I can accept that as anything remotely canon. Canon? Not canon. Canon. Canon is not how you pronounce that word. Canon. I know that you're not supposed to read fanfiction as canon anyway, but I just can't do it. I can't do it. So I was worried that this book might not be as relatable to me as it might be to other people who are really into that kind of thing. But it was. Surprisingly enough, it was, because I know what it feels like to be a fangirl, because I fangirl so much all the time. I'm really bad at that. Like, oof, my god, I'm really bad with that. So yeah, this book was super, super, super cute and adorable, and if you like contemporary and you have never read anything by Rainbow before, read this. I think what made it so relatable also was that it was set in college. I know, like, a lot of other contemporary reads, or like in general YA reads, are set in high school, and I'm not in high school anymore, so that just kind of made it extra cool to me. You know, it's like, these people are my age, and I'm happy I'm not alone with, you know, not going to parties and not really knowing a ton of people at college, because now I have Kath, and she's like my soul animal. Soul animal? That's not what I was gonna say. Spirit animal, that's the word. Spirit animal, like in the Golden Compass. Kath is my spirit animal, okay? Like, apart from the whole fan fiction thing, she's my spirit animal. She'd like rather sit at home, read or write on her fan fiction site than go out with people. The only thing is, I don't have a Levi in my life. So, if your name is Levi, and you're Levi, like exactly like Levi, here's my number. No, just kidding. Sorry. I'm kind of getting desperate, like asking people on the internet to be my boyfriend now. The next book I read through Booktubeathon is Cursed by David Wellington. This is first part of a duology, and a little bit later in the month I also read the sequel, and this was really great. Like, it's a werewolf story, but it's not your typical werewolf story. It's not YA. It's not YA. It's adult, definitely adult. There's gruesome scenes in it. Sorry, there's a plane going by. Because there's an airport near my house. Oh my god, you know where I live now. No, you don't. Also, I have like 0.5 viewers in Austria. Or do I? If you're from Austria, let me know. But please don't stop me. The book is about a woman who is bitten by, or like not bitten, like scratched by a werewolf, and then turns into a werewolf. And then she tries to kill the guy who turned her, but then she realizes like, oh, I kind of need you because we can't live around humans. Because the cool thing about werewolves in this book is that they turn whenever there's a moon out. Every single night. People that are werewolves in this world can't control what they do as a wolf because their wolf side comes out. Basically, it's not them actually, it's like a separate thing. They have a wolf in their head and they have a human themselves, obviously, hopefully, in their head. And the wolf hates the human side, and so they will kill anything they see that's human. Like, they'll try. So they need to live in like Alaska or something. I don't know where they exactly live. I don't know if it's Alaska or like really northern Canada. I suck at geography. And then there's like a plot twist when you find out stuff about, what's her name, Cheyenne Clark. I know her name is horrible, just ignore that. Totally recommend this. The next book I read is The Typist by Suzanne Rindell, another Booktubeathon read. This is about a woman who works at a police precinct in the 1920s, and then another woman comes to also work as a typist there, and they become friends, and things start to unfold that are just ridiculously crazy. Oops, why is this coming off? I hate this. I hate the shape of my head. You can't hold a hairband. Like, how is that? You're not fulfilling your purpose, head. The ending of this was quite surprising, but also not quite as mind-blowing as I thought it would be. It was a good ending, I'm not gonna lie, but it just wasn't everything that I wanted it to be, and not everything I pictured it to be. And I think because a friend of mine recommended this to me, and she said the end was such a mind fuck, and it was so great, and just wow, it just blows your mind. And I was just hyping it up too much in my head, I think, and expecting too much. But at the end of the day, I'd still totally recommend this book if you like mysteries, and if things like Before I Go to Sleep and Gone Girl are your thing. Don't compare it to Gone Girl though, like it's not at all a Gone Girl, it's not even remotely Gone Girl, but it's that sort of thing, okay? So you guys, that's it for my part 1 video of the wrap up. I know I didn't mention this before, but this is going to be a 2-part video because I realized like halfway through I read too many books this month, and I want to be able to talk about them at least a little bit more in depth. These wrap-up videos for me are something like mini reviews, and I just like to be able to say all the things I want to say without making the videos like 30-40 minutes long. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed part 1. Part 2 will be up shortly, and I will see you soon. Bye!